Hello everyone, welcome to 3D Drawing for Model Railway. A couple of people have asked me about how you can find out what your printer can achieve and the level of detail that is visible or isn't visible. And probably the easiest way to do this is to produce a test square, and then you can then add some details to that then shows you what your printer can or can't do, and then you can define your CAD work to show how to go around that. So if we just produce one now, just a quick one. So if we just create a square, we're going to use a center point rectangle off of the bottom here. Let's just call it, I don't know, 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters, so 50mm square. Okay. If we extrude this and just make it doesn't need to be 5mm, maybe 2mm thick. Okay. And then what you can do is just create a sketch on there, and you're doing two things essentially. Okay, you're going to create, if we create a line down the middle, and half the square is going to be creating extrusions and cuts into that square, and the other half are going to be creating them outwards, not just rectangular but also circular patterns as well. So if we start at the top, if we just start with a 0.1 thick rectangle and go all the way across. Okay. And we might have to redraw this line down the middle if it doesn't separate them. It has. Okay, so we've got a 0.1mm thick. And then a little bit further down, do the same thing, but 0.2mm. Okay. Actually, what we will do is we're going to define distance between them a little bit more. Let's create that as 10mm gap. Nope, as 1mm gap even, that will work. Define from the end as 1mm as well. Okay. We will go back and we'll write on these in a minute so you can remember what each one is as it goes down the steps. Okay, so then we want 0.3. Wrong box. $50mm by 0.4. Okay, and I would do this all the way down the block. 50mm by 5. I'll do this all the way down the block till you get to probably about a millimetre in thickness. Okay, so now if we come down this half of the rectangle, select all these profiles that we've just drawn. you're gonna want to do these separately. Okay, so you can extrude inwards minus 0.1. That sketch back on. And minus 0.2. Minus 0.3. So you can see where I'm going with this. Down this side, it's all going to be extruded as a minus a cut. Okay, and then if you go to the other side, I'll come back in a minute and finish those off so you can see what the finished product looks like. Let's have a look. Why is that not selecting that bit in the middle there? There we go. On this side, we're going to do a plus 0.1, so you're going to do a relief upwards. Okay, let me just turn that sketch off a second. So you can see what you're going to end up with is one half of the sheet is going to be an extrusion inwards, and the other half is going to be an extrusion outwards. Okay, that will give you that square profile, and then I would also do one that's going to be circular at the bottom as well. Okay, so let me just finish off these squares and I'll come back and show you the circular one as well. Okay, so now I've got all these extruded. What you can do if you wanted to help you make it easier to identify them is just go in here and create a new sketch on the top surface, and then we're just going to add text. So just draw a small box at 0.1 in there, make it bold. See, this height's massive, so 0.6 in size. That works for my print. Obviously, it might not for yours. You might need to change that, and then you can just go down, add that for each of these. And then once you've got them, just select all the text. Right click, and it's not going to do that. Should be able to just extrude that. Press pull. Select all of them again, and then press pull is the same as an extrusion. Tell it to join, and just give it some height so it's going to be readable. 0.5 millimeter maybe. If you want it to be a little bit taller, go a little bit taller. You know, depends on the printer you're using. Okay, so now you've got your sizes. You can then reference what a line can or can't print for you. Now, not only would I do this for rectangles, but I would do a similar thing down the bottom here doing circles. Okay, and I'm sure you get the gist of how to do that. You can just drag your circle out 0.1 and then do that as a cut into it and an extrusion upwards, and then you can print. What I would suggest you then do is print this both flat to your bed and vertical to your bed, so that you know what you can print in both of those two orientations, because it will be different. And remember, anything that will be facing your print bed, facing downwards on your print bed, you won't get any detail on it. It will print flat on the back because of how the supports print. But this will give you a good representation of what you can achieve, and then you can then go from there and say, right, well, if I want to make a door, for instance, or the side of a wooden wagon, what do I need to create as my recess for it to be able to print well enough that I'm happy that it's going to produce the model I'm after. And again, just remembering, just because you can print something that's maybe 0.1, 0.2 millimeters thick, doesn't mean that I can then start, taking this 0.1 millimeter circle here and then extruding it, 5-6 mil off the, or even worse, 10 mil off the bed, and expect that to print, and then A, print in the first place, and B, be strong enough that it's not going to break. What we're looking at here is surface detail, so rivets, wooden planking, tiling, grout work, that sort of thing. Not necessarily just can I print a pipe that's 0.1 millimeter thick and expect it to work, because that pipe generally is not just going to be attached to the side of something. If you notice on a lot of my videos, when I draw pipe work on the side of a model, it is flat up against a flat surface to give it the support. And all I'm doing is creating a representation of a pipe as opposed to the actual pipe itself, which would potentially be floating in midair, and just breathing on it would snap it. So yeah, this is how I'd produce, your test square, and then I would do that and see how you get on. If you get any questions about this, then please leave a comment below, and I'm more than happy to help you.